guys, it's Anissa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing one of my favorite videos to film for you guys. I did a full face of first impressions testing new makeup. It was mostly drugstore, but I did have a couple of high-end things. And honestly, like, I am very excited to share some of these products with you guys. This is the look we were able to come up with. Some more fall vibes. I got my pumpkin in the back, so I'm getting ready for fall just like everybody else. Let me know what your favorite season is down in the comments below. I would love to know. Mine would have to be between fall and summer. Like, I can't pick, don't make me pick because I won't. If you guys are interested to see some of the products that I used to do this makeup, then make sure to keep on watching. But before you go any further, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, I already went ahead and filled in my eyebrows because I did not have a new product. I went ahead and filled them in using the Charlotte Tilbury Micro Brow Cheat Black Brown. It's all right. I don't know if maybe I pressed too hard or if I crank out too much product at a time, but it broke a couple times, but the brows look really good, so no complaints. I carved them out using this Milk Makeup foundation stick, and this is the Flex foundation stick specifically in the color Praline, just what the color looks like if you cared. I've been liking to carve on my brows with either a pot concealer or a foundation stick because they're both products that are a little bit thicker, and I feel like thicker products are better to carve your brows out with because you are working with hair. Did not let myself forget lip balm today, so I went ahead and put on some of this e.l.f. Ride or Die. We are ready for eyes, and I do have a new eyeshadow primer. This is from COVERGIRL, and this is their Lid Lockup eyeshadow primer in the color 100 Universal. I have never seen anybody talk about this, and I wanted to go ahead and use it. It actually does not look like an eyeshadow primer. It almost looks like a mascara. Went ahead and pulled out the applicator. It is a doe foot applicator, and the product does look a little bit thicker just from based on what it looks like. Reminding me of the e.l.f. eyeshadow primer, just a little bit thicker than that. So I'm just gonna start off with that much because I found if I use too much eyeshadow primer, it cakes up on my eyes weird. It is translucent, but I can feel that it is gonna give a tacky base just from blending it in. Just gonna feel my eyelids. Oh yeah, that feels really nice. Super lightweight. Usually I will prefer something that has a little bit of coverage to it. I do have, if you look up close, you can see all the veins and discoloration, and I have a lot of texture on my eyes. So I like to use an eyeshadow primer that has color to it. Usually I do not get the most excited to try eyeshadow, but this is my whole why for this video. This is from the brand LA Girl, and this is the Hey Hey Vacay eyeshadow palette. And it just looks like this. So fall, really pretty. Like one of the prettiest nude drugstore eyeshadow palettes I've ever seen, with like a couple pops of color up here. And then you have this huge mirror, which I'm not gonna use today because if so, it would look like this the whole time, but really good for travel purposes. I'm gonna do a more neutral eyeshadow look today, and then maybe later on in the fall, I'll pull this back out and do like a more greenish look, but I just did green in my last video, and I was like, these neutrals are giving me life. I'm gonna go ahead and mix these two colors together first and just blend those out into my crease as like a transition color. Oh wow, I didn't expect it to be that pigmented. Once September 1st hits, it's like everybody goes crazy for fall. And I guess I had never really realized that. I don't know, I like fall, but I also like summer. Those are my two favorite seasons. And so I don't really like to rush fall because I'm like, I'm still holding on to summer. But then I saw everybody on Twitter and TikTok with their fall stuff. I'm more so like the look of fall candle scents and stuff, like pumpkin spice and all that stuff. It makes me sick to my stomach. Like, I really cannot do it at all. It is just not for me. I'm not a sweet scent type of person to begin with, but I love the tones of fall, and the weather is like so super perfect, especially here at the beginning where it's like transitioning from summer to fall. It's warm out, but it's not so hot like it is in the summertime. Because honestly, in the summertime, like, I really do not be going outside because it's too hot. But fall, I'm like, give me outside. I love it. These colors are actually a lot more pigmented than what I thought they were going to be, and they're blending out pretty nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go in with these two colors right here and mix them and put those on my outer corner. The lip combos that we're gonna try are perfect for fall. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is what we're trying today, and it is what it is. I have to like get excited for things, because if not, I really have no interest in them. I went out this weekend and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna see if they have any fall stuff out. And I started seeing the decorations and I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm excited for fall. I bought a really cute sweater at TJ Maxx the other day. I don't know if I'm done decorating or not. When I lived at home, I didn't decorate for fall because I just had my room. But I always went all out for Christmas. Like, it was winter wonderland up in there. And I actually think that I do have like a little decorating video, which is different for this makeup channel, but I do have a video of me decorating my room at my old house. These are actually very, very blendable. Orgy tones were really pigmented. I thought I'd get a little bit more pigment out of these brown colors, but it's okay because they're building and they're really easy to blend out. Because sometimes a color's like super pigmented, but then you kind of have like a hard time building it up and blending it. So like, I will take one over the other. Every time I go to Ulta, I know what's there, but I still like to kind of walk around and see what's cracking and see if anything catches my attention. They have another color story for this like type of palette. I honestly was very drawn to both of them. The other one had more bluish tones in it. These like more glittery colors are really calling my name. So they have like some shimmers, and then I feel like these are more like pressed glitters, or like that hybrid between glitter and shimmer. I really think that this color right here would be super, super pretty. And then I'm gonna top it off with a little bit of that. I prefer using my finger because it's just easier. You don't have to pull a brush out, but I'm gonna do this eye with a finger and this eye with a brush and setting spray. They're semi-buttery, but they do have a little bit of chunk, but they're actually pretty buttery going onto the lid, and I'm not really having any trouble. Sometimes I found that these type of shadows will hang onto different parts of your eyes weird, and this is just gorgeous. I'm really ending it where my dark crease color is. That is really, really pretty. I'm gonna be using this Milani Make It Last matte setting spray again, because I used it in my last full face of first impressions, but I didn't shake it, and I think that's why I didn't like it. So I decided that if I feel like I didn't give a product a fair chance on the first impressions, I'm gonna try it again in a video. The lazy part of me likes using finger because it's just quicker, but when I like to apply myself, I will use a brush because it's a little bit easier, in my opinion, to apply with a brush, especially if you're like trying to be a bit more precise. And my fingers aren't the ittiest bittiest, so you guys can see on this eye, I get a little bit of glitter down here because it's me trying to get into that inner corner, which I still couldn't get. Definitely got more pigment with my finger. It's weird because like the shadow is chunky, but it's not chunky looking, and it's actually pretty buttery. Texture wise, when I'm feeling it on my finger and even picking it up, it's like a little bit chunky, but it doesn't look like that on the eye. The only thing I've ever tried from LA Girl, I think I've tried a setting spray from them, and then I used to love, love, love their concealers because they were like the most affordable thing back in the day that had good coverage, and I actually need to try those again. It's been a minute since I've used those. Go in with a little bit of this really pretty color right here. I don't know if I want to completely go over it. I was excited to try this, but my hopes weren't super high just because I really have not found a nude-ish eyeshadow palette that I really, really love that's affordable, except for the little e.l.f. bite-sized ones and then Juvia's Place. But like, this is every color that I need and more. So I don't know, like, I was excited to try it, but I was like, if it doesn't work, I'm not gonna be mad at the same time. But I'm actually really happy. I'm gonna go in with my finger. Do you see that swatch? Beautiful. Now this one is a little bit more creamy than that color up there. I like topping off with the lighter color because it just brings a little bit more light to the eye and just like adds another dimension. It's the most beautiful thing. I'm really impressed because most of the time with more affordable palettes, the shimmers and the mattes are both never really good. Rarely does that happen. So for them to both be good, I'm happy about. Okay, so I'm just gonna blend this a little bit into the crease. This is the eye look. I felt so bad for so long because all I did was nude eyeshadow looks, and then I was like, okay, I gotta branch out. I gotta do color. And I feel like I've really dabbled into color heavily for the last year and a half, especially when filming videos. I'm like, okay, I gotta do a colorful look because I know they're sick and tired of seeing this nude looks. This is truly me in my happiest form. Love, love, love. I cannot wait to use this and incorporate this into like full face of Nothing New fall makeup tutorials. So excited to dip into these greens over here. This is perfect for everyday use because it has so many neutral and wearable tones, and then so great for travel because you have this huge mirror. I can't wait to actually test the mirror out. Usually mirrors are like super tiny and I don't even bother to use them because I'm like, this is just a waste, but I could do my whole face with this mirror. The mattes were semi-pigmented at first, but they were buildable and they were very blendable. The shimmers, I'm gonna speak for the glittery ones because I didn't use like the true shimmers like these two. I love these colors. They did work better in my opinion with your finger. I would say a 10 out of 10 for how affordable this is. This tops a lot of higher end products that I have tried. Went ahead and popped on some of these e.l.f. eye tapes. I need another pack desperately. I have 3 strips left, but I wanted to go ahead and pop those on because we are actually going to be trying a new eyeliner. The amount of time I've had this eyeliner is actually embarrassing. Like, I think I bought this more than 6 months ago. Easily more than 6 months ago. I really just within the past couple months started to wear eyeliner consistently. I used to hate the way that it looked on me, and then these changed the game for me. I have very shaky hands. Even when I write, it's very hard for me to do like super precise stuff and be precise without like whipping over here and, you know, messing everything up. And now that I feel like I'm a little bit more comfortable with regular traditional eyeliner, I wanted to go ahead and finally use a gel liner. This is not a new product, but it is new to me. This is the Maybelline Long Lasting Gel Liner in the color Blackest Black, and this is what it looks like. I'm very excited to try this because I have never even tried gel liner. I'm like really manifesting that this is gonna go well because this eye look would look so pretty with like a nice wing. What kind of brushes do you guys use for these? This angled brush, and then I have a more flat brush. Maybe I'll try both. Like I'll do an angled brush on one eye and a flat brush on the other because I'm really not sure what would be best to use. I really don't know what to expect, so I'm not going to be like super harsh unless it's just blatantly bad. The consistency of a pomade, but a little bit more creamy. That's why I'm wondering if this is going to be easier to apply than like a felt tip liner, because I personally have found that felt tip is the easiest for me to do. I feel like my wing is not as precise as I want it to be. Well, we have long wings, so we're gonna embrace it. Now I'm gonna try it with this flat liner brush. Oh, I definitely like it better with the flat liner brush. I feel like I had a little bit more control over what the bristles are doing, and I feel like my wing is more precise out here. I always get the general shape of my wing that I want, and then I go in and fill in inside the lines. I feel like this isn't really mixing the best though with the eyeshadow. Definitely easier to use with the flat liner brush. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and make this wing shorter because I like the length that this wing has right now. It's a little bit weirder because I feel like when I'm using liquid liner, it automatically pretty much dries, versus this, it's not really like a dry formula. It's more of like a pomade, which honestly makes me kind of less nervous to use, which I don't know why, because you'd think that I'd be more afraid to use something that dries faster. I don't like to have a super thick band right up here, so it was a little bit thicker than what I wanted, but I honestly think that's my fault. If I have it like this, I always start on the tape and then drag because it gives me like a super crisp line. Actually was easier to clean up the wings because it really wasn't a super dry formula. Liquid liner goes from like pretty much liquid to drying down. I felt like that one really wasn't dried down, so it was easy to wipe away the excess. I hope you guys noticed my little pumpkin in the background. I know it's very faint, but I was like trying to give a couple touches of fall. But I actually went ahead and went to physical therapy, and now we are ready to go ahead and do the complexion. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about this gel liner. So I actually honestly think that it was easier using the gel liner, comparing it to like my first experience with eyeliner, even regular eyeliner eyeliner in general. And the only reason I say that is because I think with liquid eyeliner, it's a little bit harder to correct when you mess up because it dries down. You have to be a little bit harsher when going over it with a makeup wipe. Brow pomade, I mean, it really doesn't dry from cream to powder. It really kind of stays like a cream pomade-y type of texture. And that's exactly how I described this. It was very smooth, very creamy. I did not have to go over the same spot multiple times for pigment. I definitely think that it was 100% easier to use this flat liner brush. I felt like I got a little bit more control, which was surprising. I thought that I would like the angle brush a little bit better. It's very comfortable on the eyes. I was having a little bit of trouble at first, the glitter, and you can even see in here, there is a little bit of glitter in there. I'm a very big fan. Now, I don't have anything to compare this to, so I don't know if all gel liners are like this, but I'm just speaking from my personal experience and based off of this. I really like this and I will continue to use this. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I honestly wish I would have used this first rather than the liquid because I felt like this was a little bit easier to work with and really less intimidating for some reason. Now we're going to go ahead and get into complexion. I have so many new products, like I am super excited. For primer, we are going to be using the e.l.f. Acne Fighting Putty Primer, and usually I would use a hydrating primer and a pore filling primer, but I wanted to go ahead and use this on its own just so I can see how it does on its own without any help. Skin Perfecting Putty Primer that effortlessly glides over the skin to smooth over imperfection and grips makeup for all day wear. It has 1.8% salicylic acid, helps to prevent the development of new acne, reducing the appearance of pores and redness due to acne. I wondered why it was green. It's because if you look on the color wheel, green will cancel out the red undertones in the inflammation that you have. Allowed to set for 30 seconds before applying foundation. I've been super big on like reading the instructions on products because I think after I used makeup for so long, I kind of just assumed that it was all the same, but I have been having to retest products because I did not follow the instructions. And then it doesn't work and I wonder why. I usually never stick my nail in there. I kind of just was rubbing my finger around, but that seems to be a little bit more efficient. Actually is working into the skin easier than those other two formulas are. I feel like with the poreless and the matte primer, I really have to work them into my skin, which I don't mind because then you know the product is getting worked in. It does feel very smooth. It's not tacky like at all. It's not really lightweight, but it's not heavy feeling. It just feels like product. I say that because you know some products you put them on and then like you forget that you put them on because that's how lightweight they are. Not saying it's a bad thing, just noting it. And we do have a new CC cream today. I am going to be using the DERMABLEND CC Cream Continuous Correction Full Coverage CC Cream SPF 50+, supposed to cover, correct, and protect. And this is in the color 50N. The only CC creams I've ever tried is the IT Cosmetics one in the e.l.f. CC cream, and I like both of those. I'm hoping that this color is gonna be okay. Comes in a little squeezy tube, and I do have a new tool. This is the Wet n Wild sponge. I'm very hesitant to try sponges, especially ones that I've never like really heard anything about or seen anyone else try, because I'm very picky. Like I like my sponge to be really soft, and this one actually is pretty soft. This is like the closest thing visually that I've ever tried to a beauty blender because it has that teardrop shape. It has the hot pink, so I'm really like rooting for this to do well, because if so, it's another affordable beauty blender that I can recommend to you guys. By the way, on this channel we always test new foundations using half sponge, half brush to see which one it does better with. I feel like this is going to be a little bit too light, but it's okay. We can make it work. There are some things that I'm willing to spend more money on, like foundation I'll spend more money on, but like beauty blenders and tools and like pencil sharpeners and stuff like that, even lip liners are done really well in the drugstore for a good price. So what's the point in me paying 5 times the amount when I can get something that is 5 times cheaper and does the same thing? So I'm just gonna start with a little bit. I figured that this would be a little bit too light. Oh, it does have good coverage. And I was thinking about mixing it with like my NYX hue shifters, but I was like, I'm just gonna make it work. And I actually really like this sponge. See, I don't like sponges that are super hard because I almost feel like when I'm trying to blend make product in, I'm like beating myself up. Also, so sorry if you hear my stomach growling. I am like super duper hungry. I'm gonna ignore the color and just try to go off of coverage. Definitely has like medium to full, and it does smell like sunscreen, but not like the bad sunscreen smell. It's like the good sunscreen smell. And this actually will probably match me a little bit better in the winter time because I do have a little bit of color right now. It doesn't say what type of finish this has. It almost looks natural slash soft matte. What I like about this sponge too, it's unique. It has a little bit of a slant on this side, so I feel like that would be so perfect for underneath the eyes. Doesn't look bad. You can still see stuff is peeking through, which I don't mind because I usually use a powder with coverage, which I am using a powder with coverage today, so I'm pretty sure that I'll be okay. I'm just gonna put a little less on the brush side. I honestly feel like liquid foundation is a little bit easier to correct if it's lighter than darker, versus correcting something that is darker is a little bit harder. It can be done, it's not impossible, and that could be because I'm darker, I don't know. But I mean, it definitely has coverage. You should be wearing sunscreen anyways. Not to be shady, but you should be. It's already kind of starting to crease around the nose, but I think that the sponge side looks a little bit better. To me, it looks a little bit more skin-like. I look like Flashback Mary. I did not realize how bad that looks. It always gets worse before it gets better. I definitely need to wear this in the winter time or mix it next time. The face ain't looking the same color as the neck. So hopefully we can fix that with like some bronzer and like bring some life back to the face. Naturally, my face is a little bit lighter than my neck. Most people are actually that way. If you didn't know, now you know. I don't have new concealers, but I do want to use this sponge, so I'm going to show you guys what the concealer looks like. The past couple of days I've been mixing this Rare Beauty concealer with this Essence Full Coverage concealer, only because I like my concealer to be a little bit more bright, so I mix, this is a little bit too skin tone-ish for me. I have a new powder with coverage, and if it doesn't work out, I will probably just go in with like a different powder that I know will help even this out, but I'm not going to shut it down completely because the whole point of this, part of the whole reason I make videos is to show you guys that you can make it work. I'm going to use the flat side. Oh my gosh, why has nobody invented this before? Or why have I never tried this shape before? So easy to blend into the skin. See, that's the one thing I don't like about using a sponge, is it's not like the most optimal for underneath the eye area, only because it's so hard to get like right up into this crevice. I was watching a Juicy Jazz video today at the end and doing her lipstick, and she was like, honestly, I never really like the way I look until I do get to the lips. And I'm like, if that is not the truth with makeup, like it does not get good until the very end. Really have to trust the process. I'm just going in with this e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush. We have a new powder. We have two new powders, but this is the one that we're gonna use underneath the eyes. Morphe Bake and Set Setting Powder in the color Translucent. This does come in multiple colors, but honestly for me, I don't mind colored loose powder, but like it's very hit or miss for me because especially when it's in a pan like this, it's kind of hard to see what the color is gonna actually be. Every time I try to use half sponge, half brush underneath the eyes, it never works out for me with loose powder, only because realistically, I don't ever set underneath my eyes with a brush. I always set underneath my eyes with a sponge with loose powder. Now, if it's pressed powder, I would do half and half. I don't ever like it as much as I do with the sponge because I feel like the loose powder is really just able to like soak into the skin very beautifully with a sponge. I haven't looked up close, but from far away, this does look pretty. I'm really not big on baking anymore. This is my opinion. I know that some people still do bake, and you do you, but I feel like it's kind of a waste of product because you're just like packing product underneath the eye, and I just feel like it's more intentional to do it this way because you're able to see that the product is actively soaking into your skin. You know, you guys saw it went from powder to it's completely blended out now. That is actually really, really pretty. Let me show you guys. Now, I will warn you, I do have more texture underneath this eye. I have little bumps. I can't figure out what it is or if I've always had them and I didn't notice, but like underneath the eyes, looks super pretty. Again, I really only watch like 3 or 4 YouTubers, and maybe that's why I've never seen anybody talk about it. But even when these products come out, like I don't see anybody post about them, and then I see them in the store and I'm like, feeling like I'm living under a rock. That blended out beautifully. I am so in love with this sponge and how easy it was to like really get underneath the eye. Sometimes the thing is, I feel like I'm pressing so hard to get it into the skin that you can see like sponge marks on my face, but it looks very, very pretty underneath the eyes. Usually I would carve out my brows with the foundation that I'm using, but because the foundation's so light, I'm not even gonna do that. This is a retry, so this product is getting another try because I feel like I didn't give it a fair chance. I just used this in my dupes video. This is the e.l.f. Putty bronzer and I'm in the color Bronzed Belle, and this is what it looks like. I don't know, I just felt like I wasn't necessarily rushing, but I was more so trying to look for differences between the two products versus looking at the product on its own. And I've been trying to wear bronzer because I'm really like not the biggest bronzer person. It makes me very uncomfortable because I know I'm not the best at it. Instead of stamping the product on my face like I usually do, I'm gonna kind of do what Juicy Jazz does and like get a little bit on the brush and kind of tap the excess off on my hand. That way I can control how much product is going on my face. I think I placed it a little too low. And the reason I wanted to give this a retry was because I really felt like it was not the product's fault and I really like the color of it. I feel like it's a perfect bronze color for me. I feel like that method worked a lot better. Like I feel like I was able to control and it actually looks pretty natural to me. I feel like it didn't pull product off my face or anything like that. I don't know why I wasn't doing that before, but if you guys are struggling with bronzer, maybe try that. I dipped into the product and then I just dipped on the back of my hand, like the excess. And I honestly could be really, really liking it because I tried that new tip or whatever, but I felt like it was really easy to blend out. It does have a more matte finish to it. I'm not like super bronzer crazy, and I honestly could probably put a little bit more on because I am going to be putting on a powder with a little bit of coverage. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more on. But it's building. Like you guys can see, I'm able to build on top of it. I kind of like this cheek better. I don't know, I just feel like sometimes it looks too muddy and then that's when I blend it out, and then I blend it out too much because I'm afraid that it looks muddy and it's too harsh, and then by the time I put powder foundation on, you can't even see it. Second impression, I like that much, much better, and I love how many shades that they have in this. I mean, I will give them that, especially between the blushes and the bronzers. They have a very, very good shade range. I always do bronzer, then blush. This is a high-end cream blush. This is from the brand Tower 28, and this is their Beach Please Power Hour Luminous Twisted Balm. You can use this on your lips and your cheeks. Just a very pretty deep nude color. That is very pigmented. And I've also been loving the Milani Cheek Kiss cream blushes. That's what this is reminding me of. Definitely use too much, which I usually do. So I always go over it with a sponge. And I personally like to put my blush a little bit higher up on my cheekbone because it kind of gives the face a natural lift. Then I'm gonna go in with sponge and use just a sponge. So no matter what, I always go over it with a sponge, but it's just like the initial application. Oh, it's pretty with a sponge too. I feel like I got more pigment with the brush. This is like the perfect nude blush for me, for my skin tone. I'll go ahead and swatch it on my finger for you guys. That is my perfect color. I love, love, love that. 10 out of 10. We're on a roll, y'all. Next is powder. If this powder isn't dark enough, then I'm gonna use something else, but I feel like since we've brought a little bit of color back to the face, I'm looking a little bit more normal. Huge pan is the Wet n Wild Loose Setting Powder, and this is in the color Deep. Now, I don't know if they have this in a translucent. You get 0.7 ounces of product. I've also never heard anybody talk about this. Let me know if you guys have heard any of this makeup that I'm saying I've never heard about. If you have, maybe I'm just living under a rock. I'm just gonna dip a little bit into the pan, and I'm just gonna use a flat powder brush, is what I would usually use for a loose powder with coverage. I actually think that's perfect. And look, I can still see my blush. Oh, wow. Do you see how good of a job that did at like mattifying and filtering? See, this is why I love powder. Creams have grown on me. I used to not really like cream products. That's why it really took me a long time to get into cream bronzer and cream blush. But I will say I cannot live without powder because it just smooths. Like, look. Oh, loose powder I will spend more money on because I have not found a whole lot of drugstore ones that are good. As of recently, that's changed because I have been trying more drugstore translucent powders and even colored powders, but that's not something that the drugstore used to offer a whole lot of. Even now, like it's just now kind of starting to pick up. I think these brands are kind of like catching on. That looks So pretty. I was afraid that it was gonna be too light because I really couldn't tell. I pick out the makeup that I use for the month, like off camera for daily wear once a month, and I just did that last week. And I've been testing all this new makeup and I'm like, I want to try it so badly. But I don't let myself pull from my drawers, because if I do, then I don't use the makeup, and that's not the point. Like, oh. I actually like this cheek better now that everything is like powdered. I feel like it still looks a little bit too intense over here. And that could be just me. Still feel like I'm a little bit lighter, but it's okay because I'm like loving everything that's happening right now. So I'm just like, it's fine, whatever. Another new product. Now we are ready for highlighter. I am so excited. Like, looking at the shade, this is gorgeous. Jaclyn Cosmetics loose highlighter in the color Megawatt. Like, does that not look like the prettiest gold? And it matches the eyes perfectly. Stop. I am barely tapping my brush because I do not want to use like too much. Nowadays, I feel like there's different types of highlighters and like different preferences. I like a highlighter that is like shimmery. I don't like glittery highlight because it does not look natural. It looks like you have two stripes on your face. So I placed the product and now I'm gonna blend it out. I'm gonna put this in my inner corner. I'm just dipping into the little holes. I haven't even shaken any product out. I've also pulled her lip liner for my Shop My Stash this month, and I have been loving it. It's like the most creamy, pretty brown color. I did not understand what the hype was about until I used it, and that is gorgeous. You cannot tell me differently. 10 out of 10. And let me say, the packaging on this is divine. It's like the perfect size. I don't think I was mad about how small it was, but I'm not mad now because I see how pigmented it is. Highlighter is something that if I usually like it the first time, it doesn't let me down. I have two different lip combos, like I told you guys in my last full face of first impressions. I have so many new lip products that I've been having to double up. So what I'm gonna do is try these two lip combos. NYX Slide On Glide On Waterproof lip liner, and this is in the color Urban Cafe. We have an ABH liquid lipstick, which I've never tried any of their liquid lipstick formulas. I know that the old formula that they had, everybody said was like very, very drying, but I've heard a lot of people say that they changed the formula and it's a lot better. So I got this from TJ Maxx for like $6. That is buttery. I'm like barely even applying any pressure, and that's very, very creamy. I know it looks a little crooked right now. I'm like the worst at lining my lips. High-end and drugstore. That is the creamiest lip liner I have ever tried in my life. We're gonna go in with the liquid lipstick. It's like a perfect match. If this ain't fall, I don't know what is. Very creamy and pigmented. Very creamy and pigmented. No complaints here. Now I'm kind of disappointed because I just used this Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Pillow Talk lip liner in the color 3 in 10th. And I was like talking about how creamy that one was in the dupes video that I tried this in. This has nothing on the NYX lip liner at all. NYX Lingerie. This is the XXL liquid lipsticks. They're like new formula, the matte ones. And this is in the color Low Cut. These smell like the NYX Better Glosses. Every time I smell the NYX Better Glosses, it like takes me back to when I first started doing makeup, because that was like one of the first things that I ever tried. The ABH one claimed to be matte as well, and it was a little bit more comfortable on the lips than this NYX one is. I already told you guys I'm reusing this MILANI Make It Last Matte Finish charcoal setting spray because I didn't shake it the first time I used it. So I'm like, maybe that's why I didn't like it, and I want to give this product a fair chance. And I think I'm also like semi in denial because the Milani Make It Last setting spray is my favorite of all time, hands down. I'm gonna go ahead and finish underneath the eyes, going back in with this palette and just using those two darker colors down here. Very rarely do I test new mascara, but I do have a new one today. Essence Lash Princess Lash Effect Mascara. This is like gone viral on TikTok. It's also very easy to apply. Like, I'm barely having to really wiggle back and forth. That's after one coat, which usually takes me 2 coats to get like this. I actually really like that. That did such a good job at lengthening and separating. Why am I kind of sad that this video is over? This is the best full face of first impressions I think I have ever filmed. Nothing was bad. That is today's video. This is the look we were able to come up with. I'm very happy with the way that it turned out. Let me know if you guys are gonna try any of these products. Let me know if you have tried any of these products and if they worked for you or if they didn't. I love, 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 love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.